Hello and welcome to the demonstration for the CPM 100G5. My name's John, I'm UK Sales Manager for Lighthouse and for the Max CPM products. I'm with my colleague James today, he's part of the technical team. James is going to go through the software and how the system and the printer actually works. I'm going to go through the requirement and the application to start with. Just so you can see what you can actually use the system for. I can go through the price of the material, what materials it actually uses, just so it gives you a better idea of what the product actually does. So the CPM 100 stands for cut print machine and it works on 100mm. So the printer prints 100mm up to 1.5 meters at a time, and what the system does, it cuts the label to any shape or size, so it gives you flexibility on the different labels that you can create. This system is multicolour as well, so it does multiple passes of colour in block colour. So things like all your health and safety signage, you can create off it. You can do things like product marking, operator instructions, that kind of thing with it as well. So what I'll do first of all is I'll go through some of the demonstration boards. So this just gives you an idea of what the system does. So we're just going to zoom down just so you can see them in a little bit more detail. So first board here, we see standard sort of health and safety signage. The software that comes with the system has a clip art gallery. So all these different symbols, so prohibition, mandatory, warning symbols, they're all obviously preloaded in there, so you can drag and drop them in there. We change them depending on sort of legislation, British standards, that kind of thing. So if there is any sort of enforced changes, then you can get that from our website, or we can send you to them via email. The great thing with the system, which is different to buying signage in, is you can actually type in the different instructions or bespoke information in there, just so you can make it site specific, and you can make it bespoke to your requirements. So you can see here different sort of sizes that can be created. So this is the 100mm width, and then obviously you can create it up to 1.5 meters. But yeah, if you wanted to do circular shape round the no smoking sign there, then you could do. But like I say, just gives you more versatility. This here is like a contractor, like a helmet sticker. So again, you can put information on there. So whether you're visitor number 1 up to 47 or whatever it is, you can obviously change it, and you can put your logo on there as well. So if it's company logo, organisational logo, you can add that in there. So again, it's just different to sort of a generic sort of health and safety sign or label that you buy in at the minute. Just to give you an idea of cost, just on this health and safety board. So fire action notice like this, you can't quite see the detail and the cost there, but you're looking at £1. So it's 100mm by sort of 300mm. So it's £1 for the actual vinyl and the ribbon cost. Compared to buying that in, so on average, some of our customers are paying sort of £5 plus for a sign like that. And again, like I say, the variable information, you'd have to either write on, or you'd have to get a smaller printer just to put that information on. The great thing with this, you can put it on straight away. A little label at the top here is photoluminescent material, so glow in the dark material we supply with the printer as well. All the other material on these boards is self-adhesive vinyl. So the vinyl is indoor and outdoor grades, up to 5-year UV stable, different weather conditions, it's fine with, so temperature -40 to +70. So it's sort of our standard grade of material. Generally most people sort of site signage, health and safety, it's perfect for that. On the other side here, if I just flick that up, this is just an example of a site board, and just shows how you can tile the board up. Again, if you want to put logos at the top, site information, all that kind of thing. And obviously you can make changes to this board as you go along. So if something changes on site or the purpose of the board changes, you don't have to replace the whole board. You can just replace sections on the board. To get a board like this, you're probably looking under £10 to produce yourself off our printer. To buy that in, people pay sort of 30, 40, £50 plus for a board like that, especially when it's bespoke information. In regards to sort of the backing boards, so if you haven't got a wall to stick it on or a piece of machinery to stick it on, we supply Foamex, PVC boards. They're all in our price list, so you can obviously just put it onto a hard backboard, so you can lay the signs or the labels onto it, because everything that comes off the system is self-adhesive. So if I get the next board, again, sort of similar kind of thing, sight board. This just shows you what we call multi-band printing. So because obviously the system's limited to 100 mil, you can still create a bigger board, but you basically tile it up. So it prints in strips, and then you can see there's a little overlap on that. It's just so you can create some of these boards, because it may be that across site you've got 4 or 5 of these boards, but you need something to go up pretty quickly, or you just want to replace it. It means you can still do it. It's just a case of tiling it up. Other side of this, things like facility signage, nameplates, universities, colleges, hospitals. This is forever changing. Different room numbers, different people in rooms. So this just shows another material that we supply. So it's a brush material. So again, it looks like aluminium plate. But again, cost-wise, for a plate like that, you're probably looking anywhere £20 plus. Off our system, it's less than £2. So it just gives you an idea of the cost saving that having your own system on site you can obviously get. Also, the process improvement. Sometimes these things they change very quickly, and people want to react very quickly. Buying in signage, especially bespoke signage, can take. It can take a few weeks to get the signage in. If you have your own system on site, you can produce it quickly. You can react very quickly to any changes. Next board here, you've got pipe marking. So we do all the official pipe wrap colours. So again, we've got a different range of colours in the price list. We've got these different symbols on here. So the GHS symbols, they're all built into the software. But again, because the system cuts, you can actually do the actual cut where the arrows point, or you can just do the wraparound. So it gives you the flexibility to do whichever, depending on your requirement. But like I say, we have all the pipe marker colours in there. Other side, again, sort of engineering maintenance applications, so things like schematics, wiring diagrams, so whether it's on electrical panels, this can be used on product marking as well. So if it's something to go on your product, you can put it on there. Things like control panels, so if you've got production line where there's a panel and the original sort of panel's worn off, you can actually put a new panel on there. Again, for product marking, if it's a plate, this can replace screen printing, which is very expensive, and obviously you have to sub it out. So again, something like that along the bottom, you're looking about £3, under £3 printed with all the material. So it just gives you an idea of sort of the cost savings. Serial plate here, and then you can go down to things like asset labels. So you notice you've got the QR code on the bottom there. So this system will do barcoding. The software can produce it either through you manually putting a number in. You can do it sequentially, or you can do database access. So effectively, it brings information in from another source, and you put the different variables onto the label file. Some slightly different materials on here. So we've got polyester, silver grey polyester, just a higher temperature range. Mirror silver polyester as well. Again, slightly different temperature range and just the look of it. So people like it because it looks like a standard sort of serial plate. Great application for these systems is things like visual management. So this is a shadow board. In the software, we have all these different templates built in there. So all the shadows, the outlines for them is in the software, and the printer cuts them out. So effectively, you just put the dimension of the actual tool in there, and the printer does the rest for you. And you can apply it to either a PVC board or a Foamex board. You can go as far as barcoding if you want to, whether it's just the tool number. So the whole point of shadow boards is just make sure people are accountable for the tools. They go back to the right place, and also make sure that it's there if you're in a production environment and you need that tool. Potentially, if that tool gets lost or it's not on the board, then it could hold production up, and there could be a cost to that. So that's the whole point of shadow boards, is just to make sure everything's in its right place. Another visual management things, you can do information boards, you can do headers with visual management boards as well. And it just allows you, when you've got your own system, to make any changes quickly. So you've got that. This board, more specific board to things like commercial vehicles. So again, some different materials on here. We do like the tamper materials. You've got tamper void, tamper evident. We do tamper destructible as well. So when you try and peel it off, it just crumbles. So some of these materials, obviously they've gone through some of the testing for the vehicle authorities. Yeah, we supply quite a lot of commercial vehicle companies that have things like a type approval plate or type approval label. Also, you can do like a nested set of labels along the bottom, which is great if you want to stick it on a product or whether it's a vehicle, because you can go around, make sure all the labels are on there. And also, you're not having to keep going back to a rack. If you've bought them in, you have to keep going back to the rack each time. So again, process improvement, time saving. So that just gives you an idea of a specific requirement. And then etch glass effect. So you've got, I don't know if I put this board behind it, you can see it a little bit better. So basically, again, the system cuts these out. So frosted glass, so you can actually, safety spots on glass, so people don't walk into glass doors and that kind of thing. Again, there's big sort of cost saving with that. To get someone out on site to do etched glass is, it's costly. You're looking hundreds of pounds. Whereas doing it yourself with some sort of frosted effect, you're looking in a few pounds at a time. So that sort of gives you an idea of some of the applications for the printer. In regards to sort of material costs, like I say, you're looking just over £2 a metre for the vinyl, the ribbon, £1 a metre ongoing. So it just gives you a bit of a breakdown. But generally, most of our customers looking sort of payback on the printer within sort of 1 to 2 years. Say on average, sort of 75% against sort of externally buying the signs in. But the main thing is the process improvement. You can do it as and when you need it. You're not having to wait those few weeks for signage. And if it is product labels that you're looking at, again, just make sure that your product goes out on time, and you can be adaptable to any changes. So what I'm going to do now is going to pass over to James, and he'll go through the software. What we're going to do is just the basic sort of health and safety sign, just so you see the principle of the software, and obviously how it works. So what I'll do, before I pass to James, I'll show you how the system actually works. If I just take the cables out the back there. So if we turn this round, we've got the roll of vinyl, which sits in the back there. So 100mm. And like I say, the printer can print up to 1.5 metre sections. So that sits on a little reel at the back. Just goes through, so it sits under the blue bar. So sprocket fed just to keep the accuracy in the print and the cut. What does the actual print? The ink is in cartridges, just like that. So you've got RFID tag in the front of the cartridge, which just tells you what colour's in there, how much is left on the ribbon, and puts a different heat setting through each ribbon. You've got a thermal print head, which is there, so it just rests on top of the vinyl and means it just prints on the top there. We pop that back in, just like that. And then in here there's a little tungsten blade. This is a little cutter that does all the actual circular shapes. So any shapes that you've got on here, you've got is done by that tungsten blade. So just 5 miles of cutting, so dependent on which materials, because some of our materials are tougher than others. But that just shows you sort of the principle of it. On the side, if I just turn this round, on-off switch, manual feed key, manual cut key. And then this dial here is just for the pressure, the depth on the actual blades. And on the front, you've got a guillotine cut. So the software that comes with it is multi-license. So you can load it on as many PCs as you want on site. We don't limit it to sort of 2 or 3 keys. And then what we do is we offer training with the system as well. So as I said, I'll pass over to James. He can go through the software in a bit more detail.
Hi guys, I'm James. So I'm just going to take you through, as John said, how to create a basic health and safety label in the software. So first things first, if you go to File and New, G5 is selected for me. If you do have a couple more printers, you may, as you see, I can have a few different ones, but it's a G5 we're looking for on this occasion. So go straight to Finish. So now you're going to want to actually resize your label. You're given a 400 by 100mm, just kind of template as it were, but it's unlikely you're going to want to keep it out of that. So if I double click on the outside of the label, so this is just like the first tab we saw when creating the label. So if I go to paper layout, you have portrait and landscape. So for this purpose, I'm actually going to change it to portrait. Dimensions. So this is where you are actually changing the size of one individual label. So even if you're printing in batches, this is still the actual size of one label. So for this one, we're going to make a no smoking sign. So if I just keep that at the width of 100, that is the width of the vinyl for now. I go to height and I'm just going to put it at 120. That should do nicely. Margins, they're currently all set to 5. These should automatically be set, so you shouldn't have to worry too much about those. It just ensures that everything is kept within the print area and there's nothing that, in terms of the alignment of the print and the cut, it doesn't kind of knock it all out. Radius, so you have horizontal and vertical radius here, so it's more just a visual aspect. You won't be able to see it, but you may notice on the preview and on the actual side of the corners of the label there is a slight radius, so that's just there to say if you want to match a cut shape with a certain radius or match any kind of object to the label to a particular radius, but on this occasion I don't, so I'm just going to change that to 0. So labels across, and this is where we actually change how many labels we want to print in a batch, so in one page. So if I change rows to 2, you'll notice here it changes a preview, and here the Y gap has actually kind of enabled. So you want to put usually maybe a 1mm gap in between there, and as you can see on the preview, it just creates a nice little space between the label. So that is if, say, you want to run your pair of scissors down it to separate the labels that are printed on the page, or when you're actually weeding the excess vinyl, it just makes it a little bit easier and doesn't leave you with a thin strip that you would otherwise not be able to remove. And that's just that. So if I click OK, so now if I just zoom out slightly by holding down the control key and using the scroll wheel, you've got one white label and one grey, so anything you put onto this label will be duplicated onto this label. So if I just zoom back in, so as we said, we want to do a no smoking sign. So on the left hand side we have picture, so this is where we're going to insert all the clip art. So if I just click on the little drop down arrow, go to clip art gallery and click onto the label, CPM is the section we want on this occasion, and go down to prohibition, and there we have a no smoking sign. So click on it once to preview, double click to put it into the label, or just click OK. So this is obviously quite big at the minute, so you can just resize it manually however you want to. You can double click, and if you go to the appearance tab, just give it a set width and height. I'm not too fussed about that on this occasion, so I'm just going to reduce it manually. So now to align this to the label, we've got about, in terms of the vertical alignment, we want to keep it there, but we want to make sure it's nicely in the centre. So if I just put it there so you can see how it changes. If you right click and go to align, so for this one we don't want it to align vertically, so I'm going to put do not align. Horizontally, we want it to go to centre, and just make sure align to label is ticked. Click OK, so you can see how it jumps over. So now we want to put a bit of text in, and you'll probably recall with the no smoking sign it has a box, a red box about that big, with some white text in. For this label we're printing with red and black ribbon, so you may be wondering how we're getting the white text. So the way we do that is if you go to inverse on the left hand side here, click onto the label, just make it a rough size. Again, I'm just doing this very quickly so you'll probably be more picky. And if we change this to red, add some text, just put no, so let's start as in italics for me. Let's try again. No smoking. Again, you saw then, like, as soon as you actually add text to the label, you can just start typing straight away, or you can double click on it and just edit it there. So the only rule when using an inverse is the actual text itself, or whatever you're inversing, and the inverse box have to be the same colour. So You can see it's got a strange cyan colour at the minute, so if I just change the text to red, you can see it's gone white. Just make it a bit bolder, make it a bit bigger. So the inverse box here is probably a little bit big, so I'll just resize it slightly. So now you can again just move it around manually until you're happy with it, or you can actually just automatically or ask it to align itself. So if I first click on the object I want to align to, hold down the shift key and select the text. Up here you have an alignment toolbar, and it's quite self-explanatory where it's actually going to align to. So there's a black line through the centre there, so if I click on centre, that didn't really move because it was actually relatively central. And then if we click on that one as well, so vertical centre, it moved up ever so slightly again, so I actually wasn't far off it. And that's that. So now we've got two different kind of set of objects, as it were, and we would like to align them together just to be sure. So if we kind of drag a box over that, up here on the alignment toolbar you have a little icon that says group. So if we group that, that now becomes one object. And now, because we actually already aligned this earlier, we know that's in the centre. So if we select that, hold down the shift key and select the object, what we're aligning to, centre, you can see how it jumps over. Now, the final thing to do is to add a cut shape. So we're going back to the clip art gallery for that. So the little drop down arrow, clip art gallery, click onto the label, CPM, and there we have a separate section for cut shapes. There's quite a few in here, lots with mainly different radiuses, so we're going to try and choose, or it's best practice to choose one that suits the style of the label. I'm going to choose one that just has a 90 by 90 on this occasion. Click OK. So we can resize this manually again, or if I actually double click on it, go to appearance, you can specify the width and the height. So the width we set it to was 100 and the height of the label was 120. If I click OK, and now it's not quite aligned, so again if you go right click, align, you want it to be vertically on the middle, horizontally in the centre and aligned to the label. There we go. So the last thing to do now is if I go to file and print, just check we've got the right printer. If I select pages, what it's going to do, if I just zoom out so you can see the preview, it's going to duplicate this onto this label. So file, print, pages, and just to preview it to make sure we're happy. Yeah, we're happy, so I'm going to click on print. Move that status monitor over. So there you go. The printer's already got black installed, so it's going to automatically start printing that, and down here you can see the next colour to be printed will be red. I'm just going to change the screen over so you can see the printer in action. So it's actually finished the kind of the initialization phase. It's detected how much vinyl's left. So on the status monitor it will tell you that. So it's printing the black now. Winding back, and John's just going to change the colour for me. And then the RFID, the red RFID, sorry, is the red RFID is detected by the printer, and it will automatically start printing when you actually load the cartridge. There we go. And what it will do now, it will start cutting out the label. There we go. I'll just scan back the status monitor for you. There you go. So you can see cutting for a while, wait for a while, and then there you go. You have your finished label. So John's just going to read those for you. There you go. Lovely. So I'm just going to hand back to John now, and then he'll take you through a couple of extra bits. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you for joining us for the demonstration for the CPM 100 G5. Thanks for James for doing the software there. Just as a quick reminder, the CPM 100 G5 price is 1495. So it includes software, which is multi-license, get training on site, 12-month support, so that's any help with the software or any sort of details of the printer sort of in future, and obviously you get warranty with it as well. If you did want any more information or you want an on-site demonstration of the system itself, then feel free to contact us either on the website lighthouse.uk.com, or you can give us a call, or the contact details are on the website. But yeah, if you did want any more details at all, feel free to contact us. Thanks again.